Dublin Marathon underway. A wonderful, wonderful stream. Cormac Downs was there, Dean Duffy from Birds Hill, Brendan Conreevy, Ian Kenny from UL, Liam Hickey, Simon Carberry, Olive Sexton is there, Diarmaid Sheehan, Darren Collins from the Red Hill.
Welcome to my video on the 2025 Dublin Marathon. In this video I'm just going to run through how the race went for myself, and you'll see footage throughout the whole course in different areas, mainly kind of every 5k, a good few videos kind of around the start and then through the park, and then generally every 5k. And I'll just talk through how I'm feeling in the moment, kind of what my tactics are in each different section of the race and how I'm feeling as the race goes on. So I hope the video will be entertaining, informative, and that you'll enjoy watching. So before I get started, I just want to say thanks to, there was a good few people who came up to me either before the race, during, as we were running, and then after the race, and said they watched the channel. You know, they've been watching my videos that I kind of started just over a year ago, and you know, it feels good. People complimenting the videos and saying that they enjoy what I'm doing, so thanks to everyone that came up. So for the rest of the video, I'll just jump in and out on the audio, let you hear the crowd. The support in this marathon is definitely the best in any of the marathons that I've done. So it's a big reason why I wanted to come back and do it again this year, as well as it being the home marathon. So yeah, hope you enjoy the video and thanks for watching. If you do enjoy it, please do give it a like, maybe subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, and maybe tell other people about it if you think they might be interested. I'm really hoping to keep growing the channel. I'm at nearly 300 subscribers now, which is kind of mad. It's really blown up in the last kind of few months. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I do hope you enjoy this. So at the start you obviously have your usual bit of crowding, and it can be difficult to sort of find a rhythm, but what I try to do is just not try to surge in between people, just sort of keep a consistent pace going, go by effort and wait for the gaps to open up. You're not really going to make too much difference early on, you're not going to get stuck, you know, behind people for ages. So what I just try to do is just take it easy, not waste any energy with its surges, and save that energy for later on in the race. So here we are coming up to where there's actually a bit of a course change for this year. So last year at Christchurch we turned right towards Dame Street and then crossed over and down through Parliament Street and then crossed over at the James Joyce Bridge into Stony Batter. This time took a left here, went down Bridge Street, and then on the quays took a right and went up to the O'Donovan Russell Bridge and then up through Stony Batter that way. So a little bit of a course change, but yeah, it didn't make too much difference. This time you're just sort of going left then back on yourself, whereas beforehand you were going right and then back on yourself the other way. So pretty much, you know, obviously the same distance covered and that, but yeah, just a little change in the course this year.
Right, you let him go off after 5,000.
So coming up to 5k, and I crossed the line in 1935, so that's an average of 3:55 per kilometre. What I actually do is I set my watch to 5 kilometre splits, so I'm not watching each individual kilometre's pace. I'll glance at my watch if I feel I'm maybe not at the right pace, but I basically go by effort and check every 5k that I'm sort of hitting the correct paces. So this is pretty much bang on. I was probably hoping to average about 3:53, but there's a lot of uphills coming up Stony Batter and then up towards the park, so I wasn't too kind of worried about this at this point. So 1935 for the first 5k, and I've had my first supporters, and that's always a massive boost, as well as everybody else out supporting.
Go on, Robbie.
Are you going to stop?
So this guy here, I believe his name is Robbie, sorry if I got that wrong, came up to me, we were sort of running alongside each other, and he mentioned that he watched the channel and, you know, give me some great feedback and stuff. Really appreciate that. So I told him, go on ahead there, I'll get a little bit of footage of him running. So I don't actually know what his final time was. I kind of lost track of him as we went on, but he was aiming for 2:42. I do hope he got it, but yeah, I'm not too sure. I didn't catch his last name right, and I'm not even sure if I'm remembering his name right. So, but yeah, he was looking good here, and he seemed a great lad. So I hope you got your time, and if not, I hope you enjoyed it at the very least. But I really do appreciate you coming up and let me know that you watch the channel, and thanks for watching in general.
Yeah, get in with them boys. No, what I got.
Great job, well done. Good job.
Oh, Matt, looking.
I'll go contact. I'm with you.
Huh?
I'll go contact. Right?
So I actually felt a bit bad. I think I'd slowed Robbie down a little bit with chatting to me, and I was trying to pick up the pace a little bit, get up to a 3:53ish pace up Chesterfield Avenue here. So it is a bit of an incline here, but yeah, I didn't want to kind of fall back too far from any groups, and I felt I could maintain 3:53 on this sort of a slight incline. Like, it's nothing major, it's just sort of a constant but slight one. So figured I'd say to Robbie, tuck in there and try to catch us back up to the group here, and then set him free on the downhills up when we loop back around into the Phoenix Park. So, but yeah, Chesterfield Avenue is just a big long stretch up here, all the way up through the park, and you usually get great crowd support here.
That's it, lads.
So just making our way out of the park now in Castleknock, where it will sort of flatten out, and then we'll go into a bit of a downhill back through the Phoenix Park. You see the kids there near the gate in the park holding their hands out for a high five. Kind of have a golden rule. I always try to, if I'm within reach of them, I'll always try to give them the high five. I used to actually, if I'd be the other side of the road, I'd try to cross over in my first few marathons, but yeah, then you end up running extra half a kilometre at the end of a race. So yeah, if they're in arm's reach, I'll try to give them a high five, because it's great to see the kids out supporting. You know, I never even knew what a marathon was when I was a kid, so yeah, always good to see them out there. But on to more important things, and the 10k time was 38:55 for me, so I've gained a little bit more time, just a bit of a faster split, and you know, everything was feeling good at this point. The effort, obviously you're going uphill, so the effort feels a bit harder than it would on a flat course, but yeah, I was averaging about 3:53 at this point, and that's exactly where I wanted to be. So quite happy here, and you see there's a bit of a gap opening up. I wasn't too worried, and wasn't really a wind or a headwind, at least at this point. It probably was a bit of a tailwind, and yeah, felt good. And I knew I had another supporter coming up here this time last year. Jim, who is supporting here with his wife Kathy, wasn't able to come down to see me. It was just Kathy last year, but it's great to see him just there out and supporting. So thanks for coming along, Jim and Kathy. You know, it's always great to see you. It's just there. So at this point we've gone up through Castleknock, took a left there at Mayo's down into the Phoenix Park again, done a sort of a loop around, and it brings you down to this sort of side road in the Phoenix Park and back down to the other gate. So not the main gate, the other one down in the chapel, is it? Across the 15k mark in 58.10. So I've kind of gained another few seconds here, obviously with the downhills. You know, this one is a bit of a faster split, so I was feeling quite good at this point. But I did know, obviously, the hills were going to start coming at us. So just in Chapel is it, you take a left and then we do a hill, which you'll see in the next video.
Keep going, man.
So here we are going into one of the hills after the Phoenix Park. My strategy with these hills is to focus on effort rather than trying to stick to a pace. It's only a short hill, so you know you're not going to lose too much by if you do end up slowing down going up it, but you're going to kill yourself if you try to sort of force your way up the top. And it's way too early in the race to do that. We're not even halfway through, so yeah, basically my plan is shorten my stride, and so basically taking more steps, but you know, keeping up a similar pace that way. It's sort of less effort to do this, and by just going by effort, I don't mind if people are sort of pulling away here. Said the same thing in the video last year, and it's the way I'll always kind of take uphills. Even if people do break away, they tend to have to slow down as we get to the top, and that's when you sort of catch them, just by maintaining a steady pace. So that's kind of my tactic with hills. and I think if people try that out, they'll find that it's probably what works best. But I suppose everyone's different. Some people are just really strong on uphills, and some people will struggle more. So that's just my advice and how I take it. So coming up here to 20k, and I crossed there in 1:17 and 37 seconds, which is actually 3 seconds faster than I needed to be averaging 3:53 per kilometer. So up to this point, everything's gone really smoothly. It is a kind of high effort marathon given the wind, the conditions that you can see there, and also the fact there's a lot of uphills, but you kind of make some time back on the downhills. At this point, I expected it to be feeling tough, but yeah, I was happy to sort of be bang on time at this point in time. So then coming up to the halfway point, and this is where things were getting tough. So we're going directly into a headwind, and you can obviously see there's a bit of a gap to the group in front. So I was sort of in and around some people at the time, but the pace was dropping off a bit into the 4 minutes. So I decided to just sort of plow on and try to, I suppose, stay as close to a 4-minute kilometer pace as I could. So I lost about 8 seconds over the course of this 1.1 kilometers. So cost me a little bit, and I was then 8 seconds behind the kind of goal time, but you know, that's fine. So I crossed halfway in 1:22.04, and yeah, still feeling not too bad at this point, but I was hoping that this wind wouldn't be a headwind for too much longer. So coming up to 25k then, and I crossed this in 1:37.15, which is about 10 seconds behind goal pace for 3:53. But yeah, this is quite a tough section. As mentioned, the headwind's really strong, and you know, I'm kind of out there with not much sort of wind resistance around me. So yeah, the average for these kilometers is probably in around 3:56 for the 5k split. But yeah, at this point it was getting tough, but you know, I was kind of hoping as we began to turn back towards city centre that you know the wind would be less of an issue and I'd be able to pick up So before I touch on the 30k split, I probably should have talked a bit about my fueling strategy. So in the Warsaw Marathon, I was let down by not being able to take in any gels later on in the race, so I only got 3 in for the whole marathon, which is nowhere near enough. So for this one, I took a gel just about 20 minutes before the start of the race, then from 20 minutes into the race, and then every kind of 25-ish minutes afterwards. It depends how long I usually try and take in a gel over the course of a kilometer. So I was pretty much on track with that. I'd fallen about maybe 10-15 minutes behind my gels, but I was making sure to just get them in. And if I had to slow down with stomach issues, I'd rather that than to fade the way I did in Warsaw. So anyway, 30k split was 1:56:50. So at this point, I'm about 20 seconds behind goal pace, but my watch was showing me around the 3:53 average for this, so it could just be that I was kind of taking longer corners and stuff like that, or having to move in and out of people. So stuck by the effort level and that it was kind of matching what the watch was telling me, so I hadn't fallen off at least, so it wasn't too bad. So at this point we're around the 22k mark, and this is when Dublin Marathon really starts to get tough. So like I said, it's a great marathon. The crowd support is unbelievable, as you can see, like all the people there, and this is just a random 32k spot. But as you can see, we're going up hills here, and this is where there's kind of a series of up hills, then you get a bit of a reprieve, and then you just go uphill again, and then you come to Heartbreak Hill, which we'll come to later. But this is the part of the marathon where it's going to probably either make or break you. So you're going to feel okay after this, or you're going to be in a pain cave after this. So my goal here, like earlier on, shorten your stride, go by effort, and try not to gash yourself out on the way up. And then as you can see, it flattens out, and you're hoping to sort of recover your stamina a bit more, and then get back into the rhythm that you had before you began the hill. So that was kind of the plan here, and we'll see how I got on. So you might be thinking the hills you've just been witnessing are Heartbreak Hill, but it's actually not until you kind of just go past the 35-kilometer point that you actually hit Heartbreak Hill. So that kind of shows you the level of kind of incline you have to go through before you even get to that point of the marathon. I'll be honest, at this point I was just clinging on. I was trying to hang on to a 4:10 average pace. So going up these hills, that's kind of what I'd managed to average in that 34th kilometer. So I just tried to maintain the kind of effort level I was going at that point. I was really running out of energy here. Don't think it was due to the gels because, as I mentioned, I did sort of have a much better plan for the gels, and I was still taking them in at this point, although it was harder to get them in. But I still make myself get them in at least. But I don't think that's what it was. I think I just had maybe gone out too fast early on, and the hills had just sat me. So I crossed 35 kilometers in 2:16:50. This is just under a minute slower than I needed to keep averaging that 3:53 pace that I've been averaging earlier on. So at this point in my mind, I'm switching my goal to hopefully try get back to averaging 3:55 per kilometer, which I was about 15 seconds quicker than that pace at this point in time. So it was still looking good. And that would bring me in a 2:45 finish, which I would have been delighted with at this point. So that's kind of what the mind was thinking at this point, but obviously just about to enter Heartbreak Hill. So I was just going to be relying on the downhill bits after that to sort of get me to that pace again. So crossing 40k in 2:38:35, and this was nearly 3 minutes off the goal pace that it would have been for a 3:55 average. It was more in line with a 3:58 average at this point, which would be a 2:47 finish. I knew I wasn't going to be able to cling on to this though. Like I said, I've been trying to basically cling on to a 4:10 pace each kilometer, and that had sort of fallen off. Managed to hold that 4:10 for a few kilometers, but then had drifted to 4:20 and then even a 4:40. So at this point I was really struggling, and just really no energy in the legs. Felt like I was going to throw up a few times, probably with all the gels I'd taken in, something that's never really happened to me before. But I just sort of got in my head, I'm just not going to stop till the end. Changed my goal to aiming to beat my course time from last year, which was 2:49:03. So it was going to be a tight one, especially at that pace, but I knew it was possible. I just had to basically not stop. So if I could maintain sub 5-minute paces, I'd be able to get to that time and beat it. And given that this is a much more difficult course than what I'm used to, I kind of took it as that would be an improvement on last year. So that was the goal from this point on. So pretty much through that whole section you just saw that was sped up, and I was beginning to get a bit of cramp in my left hamstring, and I was just getting tighter and tighter, and actually felt like it was nearly just going to totally cramp up and seize up on me. So I had to come to this point where I basically had to decide to either walk it in, or else stop and stretch and try to go again. So I made a decision here, do a quick stretch and hope to just sort of jog it off, and then hopefully have enough left in me for a sprint finish.
Go on, Cat, go there. Go on, go on, Cat. Go on, Cat.
So we saw there stretching, and obviously nice of that fella to actually stop walking and try to encourage me to get back to it. He obviously didn't notice, but he didn't need to encourage me. I knew in my head I just needed to take a few seconds, do a bit of a stretch, and then 2:49 was still in my sights to beat, and was hoping to go 2:48. Obviously in the 50s probably would even take it, but yeah, at this point that was kind of what my mind was like. I'm just gonna go as long as I can, and if I miss by a few seconds I miss, but at least I've tried my best right till the end. And the only reason I stopped was I literally had to, or else my hamstring was just going to totally seize up on me, and then I could be out for a lot longer than just for a week's recovery. So yeah, that was the mindset. But you know, obviously it's nice when people do still try to encourage you on, like that man did. So let you watch the finish and you know what went right and what went wrong. And probably in the future I'd make sure to sort of pace myself a little bit smarter in the first half. But I think the main thing here was also the wind was a killer, and coming up through halfway for about more kilometres than I like to think about, and then you know obviously all the hills. So yeah, I think a combination of the tough conditions and overdoing it early on was basically what killed me in the end. But yeah, on to the finish, and you'll see if I beat my time from last year.
Bang the board there when they get into the finish area. Come on, Randy Shamrock. They've done a brilliant job. 2:48.59. That's official race time. Guys, children, well done.
So official finish time 2:48:52 seconds, so 11 seconds quicker than last year, but in much tougher conditions than last year. So very happy with that in the end. I was happy that I was able to push myself, readjust the goal, and then achieve that goal that I'd sort of updated to when things weren't going but to plan. So yeah, really happy with this. It's not a PB, but it's a course PB on a tougher course than I'm used to racing on. So I'll take it. And as always, it's a great one to run. The crowd support that you get. Yeah, watch the whole way through. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's been helpful as well. For anyone that needed kind of tips on this course or just in general. And yeah, hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, do like and subscribe to the channel. You'll see more. I post all my races, whether they go to plan or not. So yeah, I'll always be honest with things like that. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it.